What's going on, Grizz fans? It's time for another Grizz Weekly Update. I'm Michael Wallace. This is Kelcey Wright Johnson. And listen, the Grizzlies are back home. The 7-game, 12-day road trip is behind us. We're in plus territory. We survived it. We're strong as we've ever been this season. Kelcey, let's start right there. What are your biggest takeaways from the road trip? What do you like about the road trip? And as the Grizzlies come back, what do you like to see in terms of how they're going to perform moving forward?
All right, my biggest takeaway is that for the first time this season, Mike.
Yes.
I know you know what I'm going to say.
I do.
We got to see a fully healthy roster. No one on the injury report. I think, at least me, I forgot how lethal the duo, the two-man game of Ja and Jaren was. It was so nice to see Jaren back out there. I think in the 3 games they played together, they combined for 250 points in those 3 games.
Wow.
So I think a lot of people are going to be surprised when that duo gets more healthy and Jaren gets back into the starting lineup, just how good they are. But I will say, the one thing that I take away is that we can play with anyone. The Grizzlies can play with anyone. They beat the Bucks. They had a close game with the Nuggets, close with the Clippers. And Ja, this is a good stat. Ja on this road trip shot 52% from the field, 47% from beyond the arc. He averaged 25 points a game, 7 assists and 7 rebounds. He just played incredible. And I think Ja, we were used to him coming out and playing a good fourth quarter. Fourth quarter Ja was like a Twitter hashtag for the longest time. No, he's playing solid all throughout now.
Right. And that's one of the things that, again, you didn't leave me much meat on the bone because
Sorry.
you hit on a lot of the stuff right there. But I'm going to go with my first of 3 Ps. Points. That's what I saw on the road trip right there. The Grizzlies coming into this week led the NBA in scoring in the month of April. They were dropping 120 points easily. The offense got to its rhythm. They were scoring from all 3 levels. You had Ja and obviously Jonas. You had guys like Dylan and Jaren in the mid-range doing things in the mid-range area. And then back out to the 3-point line. DeAnthony Melton, Grayson Allen, Dylan Brooks, Ja Morant. All of those guys are hitting threes now too, so they were able to score at all 3 levels. Now, as we shift focus to them coming back home, they have a big-time game. Well, first, before we get to that, the rotation. That's one of the things that's going to be key. Taylor Jenkins has gotten down to a 10-man rotation. He has 20 gazillion players available now.
Seriously.
So what we've seen right now is him sort of toggle. We know who the 10 guys are based on what we saw coming out of that last game in Denver. What do you think about the rotation and how it moves forward?
I think there are still some questions to be answered, and I think that starts with Jaren Jackson Jr. Obviously, he's coming off the bench right now, and it is nice to see a starting caliber player play with that second unit, but I don't think it's going to stay that way for the next dozen games. So that's number 1. And then number 2 and number 3 kind of go hand in hand. Xavier Tillman has kind of pushed the fact that he deserves playing time. He played incredible defense, I will say. His offense has been solid. Defense, though, I like how he has active feet. He's versatile. He can play 1 through 5, really, on any given possession. And then, of course, Justise Winslow. Justise Winslow said after last night's game that it's natural for him to play in that point guard spot, which we saw him on this road trip. He's getting backup point guard minutes, which takes away from Tyus Jones's minutes. He got little to no minutes in the last couple games. And I think it's just fitting these guys in. So I think there's still a lot of questions to be had, whether or not that's 10-man, 11-man, and who is going to fit with who, especially once we get the answer on how we move in that starting lineup.
And that goes to my second P word, patience. It's going to require patience. It's going to require patience for Justise Winslow because, no, he's not a finished product as the backup point guard. Tyus Jones is a more ready-made backup point guard right now. But what the Grizzlies and Taylor Jenkins are looking at is the upside potential of this team as it heads towards the playoffs. So it's going to take some time to get adjusted to what these rotations are. Tyus Jones is one of my favorite players on the team, no question about it, but he's a professional as well. We saw this earlier in the season with Gorgui Dieng. Obviously, Xavier Tillman wasn't as ready to play in the NBA as Gorgui Dieng was, but Dieng took a back seat so the young guy can get developed in that position. We'll see where it moves forward from here, but those are guys, Xavier Tillman and Tyus Jones are out right now, but we know those guys are going to stay ready. And last but not least, Wednesday night, right here at FedEx Forum, Ja called the fans out. He wants to see as many as we can get in this building safely as possible, but also your support here when they face the Portland Trail Blazers right here at FedEx Forum.
Is that the third P? Portland?
No. The third P, it's a tricky P, though. It's a tricky P because it's Portland. Should Portland, based on what we did to them last week, sweeping 2 games in Portland, should they be considered our biggest rivals at this point?
Ooh, I would say yes.
Okay.
And I think that stems obviously from last year in the bubble. It was like win or go home, win or go to the playoffs. And then it's again, they're on top of each other in the standings. One team right now is right above the play-in, one, us. The Grizzlies are in that play-in trying to get out of it. And then you sweep Portland. We got technicals in both games. They're getting up in each other's grills. And I think that does come from postseason implications, these teams going head-to-head for real. It's not just like, hey, we're going to be 3rd and 4th, or we're going to be 8th and 9th. No. This is real implications coming down to it. They won those 2 games, 1 more left here. And when you look at it, the Portland Trail Blazers have the worst defensive rating in the entire league. The Grizzlies scored, how much? 250 points. 250 points in 2 games against this team. So I'm excited to have them right here at FedEx Forum, and we get to see it live.
Yes, man. And I'll wrap it up with my final P. I want so badly to say Pelicans, right? Because I want the Grizzlies to get past this Pelicans hump that they've been under for so long. But when you look in the standings right now, you just cannot avoid the Portland Trail Blazers Memphis Grizzlies matchup. As you said, they're right behind each other. These are going to be meaningful games. It already feels like a playoff series with these 2 teams.
Another P.
Playoffs, postseason, Portland. Let's get it done. We want you to pack the stands right here as much as we can in terms of how many people we can get in here tomorrow. You need your tickets. They start as low as $12 for single game tickets. And you can call 901-888-HOOP or go to grizzlies.com for all the information.